So I'm going to jump in, and it's a joy to be part of the Innovation Lending Conference. It's to be able to kind of piggyback on what Jim and Joe and Julian talked about. My backstory is I grew up a street fighter originator. In about 12 years, I helped about 6,000 families finance real estate. One of the things I learned really early on is that the number one driving force in everything that our business has to do with is the power of relationship. And so my journey with you this morning, since we're talking about journey, is to kind of walk you through some of the discoveries and some of the modernizations around technology, around trust, around touch, and what does all of that look like? So about 2 years ago, Deb and I wrote a book called 5 Stars, how to create high ratings and high trust in the digital age. I think everybody realizes today that we are fully squared up in the digital age, right? And so the challenge that we all have in marketing and leadership and sales, the challenge we all have is how do we merge all that together? And if you had to bet the farm on one thing that would make the biggest difference in the impact you, your brand, your LOs, make in the marketplace, what is the one thing? Okay? And so my thesis this morning is that everything starts with trust. And I'll go so far as to say that I personally believe that nothing else matters other than trust. And if you take the idea of trust and you begin to think about what kind of levels of trust do we have in the marketplace, how is marketing affecting trust, how is messaging affecting trust, how is over-communication affecting trust, how is poor communication affecting trust, how is no communication affecting trust, we can start to realize as an industry, certainly start to realize as a group, that the thing on which we should focus is not just some trust, not just some medium trust, not maybe every once in a while high trust, but we all ought to, in marketing and leadership, build an absolute ironclad culture around trust, meaning that everything we do, every time we do it, it is always going to be about trust. Now, how does this relate to where we are today? So it's very interesting. If you study trust, if you study technology, if you study digital, the impact, everything that's happening, this is the first time since 2012 that we've actually had a stall and a reduction in trust in the market in which you and I are in, the financial services market. For the first time since 2012, what we're seeing is that the convergence of digitalization, technology, humanization, becoming technologized, and or empathy being removed by technology, we're seeing that all of a sudden we're having this kind of reversal of what's really our core objective. And what is our core objective? Our core objective is to continue to watch the populace's trust in what we do go up. And at the end of the day, that's really what this is all about. So I'm going to play a quick video for you to kind of set the stage for where we're going to go. So pretty powerful when you stop and think about what you and I do for a living, right? Every day, we're in the business of running a loan company that provides financial advice, that helps borrowers make smart choices. And what we're learning is that there's this tension between technology and trust and how both are absolutely 100% necessary. So one of the stats that comes out of Edelman, which is kind of cool for us here since we're talking about Total Expert, we're talking about the customer journey, creating unique experiences, is that with regard to experience technology and human touch, all three are like neck and neck. It's really cool to understand that 83% of the general and informed population say that their choice around using institutions is that the institution provides a great user experience. And so one of the things that we have to pin our future on is what does that user experience look like? 81% say one of the biggest factors of the user experience is that they make it easy. And we have continued as an industry to, I think, have forgotten the idea that we need to make getting mortgages easy. We need to get making mortgages sexy. We need to make getting mortgages fun again. And then right there, neck and neck, I mean, everything is within like 2 or 3 points of each other. They're choosing companies because of the latest technology and the impact that the technology is having on the user experience. So I think what I want to say is that at the end of the day, we have to have all of these things, right? We have to have technology, we have to have touch, and those things added together have to guarantee trust. And so at the end of the day, the best marketing advice that I can ever give you is the advice from Seth Godin when he says that marketing is actually what other people are saying about you. And at the end of the day, the reason why we wrote 5 stars is because we believe that reviews, at the end of the day, are the first litmus test that you must pass to either have people select you or have people deselect you. And so some of the stats that come out of that study is 95% of consumers who have had a bad experience told somebody about it or posted negative reviews. 90% stated that positive reviews had led them to purchase from a specific brand. And 93% said that of consumers who have had a great experience, when asked, will give a positive review. The interesting thing about technology is digital accelerates that impact either way. I have good reviews, digital accelerates that. I have bad reviews, digital accelerates that. So when we start to think about the user experience and we start to think about what you and I are trying to do as business owners, as chief marketing officers, as CEOs, as production leaders, I think it gets down to the disciplines that are as old as running businesses has been and as new as the modernization of how we need to blend technology and the user experience together today. So what we know in 5 stars is that there's 5 things that every business has to do. Every LO has to do this. Every branch manager has to do this. Every leader has to do this. We have to be in the business of acquiring new customers, true or false? If we're not in the acquisition business, then we are going to be obsoleted and we're going to go out of business. And so there's a question about what is the most profitable way to acquire and how do we use digital and user experience to accelerate inexpensive acquisition. Okay, so that's a thought. The second thing we have to do is there's no longer an option, we must optimize that customer's purchase and service experience. And what we know about that experience is that value matters most. Intellectual value matters most. Emotional value matters most. Financial value matters most. The human value that we provide in the most, as Jim said, expensive transaction that anybody will ever be involved in matters most. And then we must retain and cultivate that customer for repeat business. The greatest opportunity that I believe we have today in the world in which we live with the user experience, the need for technology, and the absolute mandate for high trust is that we are not doing a good job at number 2. And I can make an argument up here today that one of the greatest takeaways I would love for you to have today is that if I do number 2 well in my company, if I do number 2 well in my business, in my branch, in my brand, if I do number 2, if I help my team with technology interface, with technology use, and with human connection optimize the customer's experience, then retention goes up. I can also argue that if we don't optimize that experience, retention becomes very expensive. And I can also argue that if retention is inexpensive and it's based on humanization supported by technology, then I can also add that you will have much cheaper and less expensive acquisition. Because in the digital world, what's happening with reviews is that people that love you are going to tell the world about you. And people that hate you are going to tell the world not to use you. It's as simple as that. And so once we're able to retain and cultivate a customer and build those repeat cycles, supporting it with technology and life events and milestones and all the things that we've seen on the Total Expert Customer Journey kind of compendium, then all we have to do really is increase the value of that customer by having them attract new customers. And one of the things that I think is unique, because Julian brings up the LO and the agent relationship, is the local lender, the local LO, the guy or gal that sits in the brand, in the geo zone that brand is in, has an amazing, amazing opportunity to use 5-star thinking, to use technology as a connection tool, and to use the human experience as a value anchor to, in fact, create more and more pull from that geo zone so that the agent can benefit by those referrals and the lender can benefit by those referrals. And, we end up in this world today in which marketing is not working like it should. Marketing is not converting like we would think it would. Marketing is not automatically attracting customers just because the brand is out there. And what we're also finding is the more marketing is actually creating separation of trust and confidence. And so we've got to be thinking today that if I'm going to acquire, the best way to acquire is to get one borrower who I blow their mind. And that borrower tells one other borrower about me. And then, as you know, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So think about this in marketing. Think about, a company maybe representing this firm that's got a couple hundred LOs. And maybe those LOs do, 100 fundings a year. And you think about what would happen if we just applied this kind of template. We blew the consumers in experience, in lending, in process experience. And what would happen if every one of those LOs was able to get just one more loan from that customer whose in-process experience was mind-blowing to the acquisition of new borrowers to that brand's business? And I think you all would agree it would be mind-blowing, right? I was with 100 LOs yesterday, and I asked them about their technology use, and I asked them about cultivation, and I asked them about their retention plan, and I said, do you guys have any idea how much a loyal borrower is worth? And why the total expert customer journey is so important is those gaps that we're dropping the ball on, they blow the opportunity for future revenue and loyalty from that customer. But if I have 400 borrowers that I've done loans for, and I'm using technology, and I'm using triggers, and I'm using connection, and I'm using emotional integrity to build that relationship, to stay in touch with that relationship, to follow up with that relationship, to be a partner in that relationship. And each of those 400 people give me one loan, a referral, a repeat business, a buy up, a reverse, a buy down, whatever, every 15 months or so, and I get 4 more loans in 5 years. Do you know, to the average LO in America, at a commission of about $2,500 a loan, that's about $42,000 a month in income. And I need to simplify the noise that is happening in the space today and remind people that it is that relationship that is supported by technology that does everything. The industry cannot survive if they are one and done. The industry cannot spend the money to get one borrower, close that loan, and never do anything with that borrower again. And we have an economic well that is so deep and has so much money in it. If we connect and we use the themes along trust and tech to support the trust and to connect, that our cost of operations will go down, our profitability per loan will go up, and all things will get better in terms of the total value we offer in the marketplace. So one of the things we talk about in the book is what happens when you take technology and you marry it up with trust. And in our world, we create this new word called trustology. And trustology, if we look at ology is the study of something. Technology is the study of technology. Trustology is the study of trust, right? And I think that at the end of the day, what you and I need to be reminded of is that those two things go hand in hand together, right? In the world in which we live, it's a lot easier to get loans done. In the world in which we live, it's a lot easier to get documents uploaded. In the world in which we live, it's a lot faster to get credit reports than it was 30 years ago when they took 5 days. Okay, and if any of you were in the business 30 years ago, you didn't have a fax machine. Everything has changed, right? But the fundamentals of trust have not changed. They have just been supported uniquely and differently with the advancement of technology. So here's what we know. To leverage technology, trust is mandatory. To leverage trust, technology is mandatory. And together, they have to deliver 3 things in this order. They have to deliver engagement first. You cannot have personalization without engagement. Personalization follows engagement immediately to then start to, as Jim was talking about and Julian and Joe, talking about adding value where value is desired. Meeting people where they're at and giving them what they're looking for and making them feel that they're not a loan number, making them feel that they're a family, making them feel that this is the most important relationship that they'll ever have, potentially outside of their marriage and maybe being a parent and a grandparent. It is that marriage with a lender that helps them make wise choices with their financing. And then we support engagement and personalization with automation, right? And so if you understand this, then you understand the importance of how all marketing has to lead to real-time personalization. And I'll give you an example. Several years ago, I was looking for something to purchase, and I was, we brought up the big A word in here, and Amazon, theoretically has everything you need, right? And so when I was doing some search on what I was looking for, another company came up, and the name of that company was Jet, right? So I checked out Jet, and I actually could find what I could find on Amazon, but I could find it cheaper on Jet. And so I ordered it on Jet, and I had the same delivery. They have the same version of Prime, and I get an email from Jet. Okay, I'm not 24 hours into completing the ordering process. Here's the email I got from Jet, and I'm just going to show this to you because I think we need to do more of this.
Hey Todd, I'm Mark. Welcome to Jet, and thanks for shopping with us. We want you to know that you're helping us build something amazing. Sure, we want to revolutionize e-commerce, but that's not what gets us up in the morning. We're hoping for much more. We're hoping to revolutionize how a business is run. At Jet, we're committed to finding innovative ways to bring costs down so you pay less. We want to give you the power to save in a whole new way. We're also committed to great customer service. So if there's anything we can do to make your shopping experience even better, we'd love to hear from you. We're excited to have you on this journey with us, and thanks again for shopping at jet.com.
You sit here and get an email from the CEO of the company you just bought a $42 item from, and the first thing you hear him say is, "Thanks, Todd." Now, how do you scale like that, right? And how do you create communication where not only in between using my name, okay, and then thanking me on the screen with my name and using that AI and using all of that asset to make me feel so much so that I buy more from Jet than I buy from Amazon? Why? Because my personalization with Amazon is, "Hi, Todd," and it's just at the top of my login. My personalization with Jet is they make me feel like they know me. And I want you to think about this as we kind of motor through the discovery here, because I think there's a big warning. And I want to give you this warning, and I want to give it to you in a way that you interpret it as potentially one of the biggest disruptors you can walk out of this room with in the next couple of days as you think about this over the weekend and as you head back. So there's a warning, and the warning is that we must turn down the promotion, and we must turn up the emotion, and there is a reality that digital noise is deafening. And I want to unpack this for you. I want you to understand that from my vantage point, when we look at relationships, if relationships are built the right way and supported the right way, there is a flip of what goes into making that relationship work. And the flip is there's much less promotion, there's much less selling, there's much less of the outbound stuff, there's much less of the stuff that isn't relevant, there's fewer of the things that are relevant, and at the end of the day, we're not promoting, we're emoting, and we're pulling people in through emotional connection. And I want to give you a Madison Avenue kind of recipe on this, and I think this is the future of marketing, and the trend started about a year and a half ago, and Jim brought it up a little bit, Julian brought it up a little bit. Our web pages are too confusing, our web pages have way too much content, we have illegible directions, we don't know where to send people, how to get people to places. Our marketing has too much information in it, information that doesn't really matter, and the information that does matter is not brought to the top or top of folder or isolated. We have way too much selling going on, and we have far too little connecting going on. And so what I want you to think about is the warning sign is that marketing alone does not create trust. In fact, marketing can destroy trust. And you got to be thinking right now as you're thinking about the idea of, I want people to know, love, and trust me. I want my LOs to have people that know, love, and trust me. I want every borrower we do a loan for to understand we've made an indelible impact in their family's life forever. I want to be at that level of connection before I ever have anything that is promotional. And then any of the promoting I want to do, it has to be customer-centric. If I'm going to promote your birthday, there's a way to do it that is more emotional than promotional. If I'm going to thank you and congratulate you on your home loan anniversary, there's a much more personal way to do it that is emotional versus just simply promotional. And what I want us to get our heads around is if what we send and what we do and how we do it, as powerful as technology is, does not create emotional connection, then it creates distance. And it actually pushes people away, or at least allows them to remain neutral in their brand loyalty. I need you to think about this. I need you to think about simplifying websites. I need you to think about simplifying marketing. I need you to think about having your LOs simplify their conversation. And I'm going to show you a video right now that is in my opinion, the new recipe for emotional connection in marketing. And I want you to see if you can lift out of it what the actual recipe is. So what's the recipe? What made that video unique? What is the new way to connect? By the way, that's a question. If I ask a question, you can't answer. It's all good. Pardon me? This was all about life. There was no promotion at all. There was 13 seconds of, this is your life. There was 2 seconds of non-audible value. That was it. And in one 60-second commercial, there was 52 seconds of your life, okay? And there was 8 seconds of us promoting our brand. And we did it only 4 times. One was the brand name at the end. The other 3 were what we thought made us valuable. And if a loan officer could change their dialogue to 13-2, 2 seconds promoting, 13 seconds learning, take that out over an hour. If we could stop talking and start asking, if we could start engaging and stop selling, if we could start connecting instead of only thinking about converting, we would massively move the needle in terms of brand attraction and brand loyalty. And so what I want you to be thinking about is we're saying too much, we're talking too much, we're marketing too much, and all that is true. It doesn't mean marketing is bad, and it certainly means we need technology to remind us of the conversations when they need to happen, and how they need to happen, and all of that goes into this journey again, right? And so one of the things we talk about in 5 Stars is this idea, and Joe and I really resonate on this. We were together in late October in Minnesota, and we had some dinner together, he and Jeff and Sue and I, and then we had some time at their offices, and then we recorded a kind of a video together on the future of what we see happening in the industry. And one of the things that ends up happening is this idea that we want our customers for life. And we know that to be true. We know that is smart, right? But what we don't know and what we don't practice is how do we love them in such a way that we're never, ever, ever going to lose them. And so in 5 Stars, we have 5 love zones that we talk about, but I'm just going to lift one out of there for our conversation this morning. And love zone number 1 is in acquiring new customers. And there is a theme around 5 Stars that if I'm acquiring new customers, I am going to do it in a way that creates this feeling of love and connection and attraction and loyalty. And I'm going to do it in a way that is naturally profitable, naturally effective, has high conversion, has low drop-off, has extremely high pull-through, and then at the end of the transaction is the super glue that unleashes a storm of referrals back into the business. And so, again, as I said when we started, there's a point in time where you don't want to spend all your time, energy, and money in acquisition. And the best way to spend less time and less energy and less money in acquisition, which is very expensive, is to optimize the love zones, because then the customer is your acquisition magnet. You know, if we've done 1,000 loans as a company in the first month of the year, theoretically, we should have 1,000 new salespeople out in the marketplace selling our brand. And if we do 5,000 loans in a year as a company, every year we should think of that group as 5,000 more people that are out what? Selling our brand. And we don't do that. Okay, we do not do that. We do not create an infrastructure. And that's why Total Expert and why this whole marketing operating system, the marketing OS, it is so important. because we're leaving billions of dollars in revenue, billions, tens of billions of dollars in volume by not having something like this plugged into our model. So here's what's interesting. This is what I call digital referral mania, right? And word of mouth is by far the most successful marketing strategy there is. And as an industry, we don't do a good job with this. We don't do a good job using digital, using Facebook, using Google, using our social networks. We don't do a good job because we've gotten to the point where we're doing too much selling and not enough connecting. And one of the reasons why people don't like to follow up with people after closing is because they don't fundamentally believe that they created a 5-star experience unless they own it. And I have LOs that are paying a lot of money to be in our elite coaching program. Hope Boardman is here, and she runs our high trust coaching program. Hope, put your hand up. And we're coaching loan officers all day long on this. It is going to blow your mind in the next 18 minutes or so to see what can happen when you understand the power of this. So if I'm a CMO, if I'm a CEO, if I'm a business leader, what is one of my mandates? What is one of the things I'm pushed on all the time? I'm pushed on profitability, right? I've got to be profitable. We've watched net profits per loan go down over the last 18 months. We've looked at margin compression. We've looked at all the challenges in the marketplace. Do you know that LOs that leverage this strategy don't have margin pressure, pricing pressure like those who don't? Do you know that that is the favorite thing about word of mouth, is that people literally that are acquired through word of mouth marketing add 2 times the lifetime value of customers acquired through traditional marketing. Customers acquired through word of mouth spread more word of mouth and bring in twice as many new customers. So my question to you is, for every loan your company funds, can you tie that funding to one more new loan? And if you can't, then we have a monstrous opportunity, because if we do this, what's the benefit of a one-to-one referral? They cost little to nothing to acquire. They trust you. They trust the LO faster. They make faster purchasing decisions. They say yes more quickly. They negotiate less. They shop less lenders. They're usually lower maintenance, which reduces your expense load on file management. They repurchase more often. They refer more regularly. And they eliminate the need for costly and ineffective marketing. So what is the rallying call in the world in which we live right now? The rallying call should be all technology leads to repeat, accelerated, embryonic growth from every single buyer that we do business with. And in our world, we call it the circle of cash flow. And in the world of why trust is so important and why technology is so important is because I want to be able to use this infrastructure as a way to accelerate my value in the marketplace. I want to be able to take such great care of a borrower because I am deeply connected with them. I am asking the kinds of questions that other lenders are not asking. I am using technology to support the conversation, to connect in ways that they tell me they'd like to be connected with, to Jim's point earlier. And what I'm realizing is, as an LO, the reason why I've got to create a mind-blowing experience for this borrower, and this borrower only, is because this borrower might have any one of these additional friends, families, businesses that I need to plug into. I talked to somebody yesterday that last month had 71 applications from Hitachi. And the reason they got 71 loan officers, 71 applications from Hitachi, is because they blew a borrower's mind who was best friends with the HR director at Hitachi in the state in which they have this manufacturing plant. And I want you to think about how technology leverages value. I want you to think about how a loyal customer will go out of their way to open their networks to you. And I want you to think about what would happen if you could take a borrower and you could take that loan, and because of 5 stars, because of blowing their mind, because of having deeper conversation, because of being emotionally connected, because of them trusting you at level 10, they want everybody in their company, all 1,200 of them, to know that you are the local lender that can be trusted. Now stop for a moment and think now about the leverageability of that decision. So what happens if I'm that lender and I am now in Hitachi and I have 71 people that are going to buy real estate, and 30 of them need a realtor. Now I have the ultimate coup, right? Because now I have not only the blow the borrower's mind in the experience, I have the introduction to their social networks and companies, and then I have what realtors want more than anything, and that is what? A marketing partnership with their lender that generates business. That's what they need. And what I would love for you to be thinking about is, how attractive does your sales staff become? How attractive do your LOs become when the word on the street is, from agents that are at the kind of level we want to target agents, the word on the street is, if you work with Todd, he's going to help you make a couple $100,000 a year. That's what this is about. If I love the borrower enough, the borrower is going to plug me in to their social circles. So I'm on the airplane last night coming home from Dallas. I was there for 3 days working with a group of LOs. I told Julian earlier, this was a gift. I got this email I saw it last night. It had come in the day before. It's from Wally, and the subject line is, Darla, please meet Nicarlo Rogers. And he says to me, was just able to refer one of my realtor partners $27,000 in commissions from an annual mortgage review this morning. Thank you, Todd, for your coaching and mentorship in learning annual mortgage reviews, my friend. He does 12 annual mortgage reviews a day. Talk about technology. Talk about triggers. Talk about being reminded. $27,000 in commissions to a real estate agent by doing what? Loving customers that have used him previously, that now it's time to sit down and have a conversation, because it's a year from the last year we had a conversation. And I need you to be thinking today in marketing. I need you to be thinking today in what we're doing. I need you to be thinking about what is the real value that we're supposed to be providing in the marketplace. Yes, world-class experience. Yes, confidence in the lending process. Yes, close, don't close late, don't close ugly. Yes, we got to blow your mind in your experience. But at the end of the day, what's this going to be about? This is going to be about leveraged economics. Do you want to spend $1 to make $1, or do you want to spend $1 to make $40? And that's really what this gets down to. So there's a couple rules as I wrap this up that I think you need to pay attention to, okay? Number one is tech must amplify humanity. And it must amplify connection. And I have a fear that no matter how great technology gets, if a loan originator does not fully understand the power of human connection, the technology will not lend itself to conversion. And we cannot convert. You talk about the first dip between lead and prospect that Joe and Sue and Jeff and team have on their customer journey. We cannot convert from lead to prospect if we don't connect. And when they become a prospect, there's another gap between prospect and going into transaction. We cannot convert unless we connect. And I want you to think about something from a marketing standpoint. Let's focus on helping every LO in our organization improve their conversion effectiveness through improving their connection effectiveness through being supported by technology by 1% a month. If I have 500 salespeople on my team and I can help the top 250 of those, because the bottom 250 might not be helpable, but the top 250, if I could improve their conversion rate by 1% a month by improving their connection skill, what would that do to the organization? It's mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. In high trust coaching, we measure conversion every day. Number of conversations you have, percentage of those people that go into a triggered application, percentage of those loans that fund. We measure those every single day, and that's the only way we can guarantee growth in our coaching company. But when we think about connection, we have to think about what really is connection. Well, connection is empathy. Connection is really taking the time to sit down and understand somebody. And what has happened with technology, if we don't understand this, is it creates speed where we miss empathy. So there's nothing wrong with technology to support a humanly connected, deep relationship, but on its own, it won't create it. So the question that I would have then, and beyond just spending dollars on marketing and generating leads and everything, the question I would have is, what questions are your LOs asking? What is their focus? Are they really focused on just the simple questions, how much do you make, and what are your goals, and let's talk about your credit, and how much down do you have, and blah, 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 blah? Or is there a different conversation? One of the fastest growing brands in the world right now is this brand, and look at their television commercial. So again, what did we see there in that commercial? It was about life supported by technology, okay? And that technology play has disrupted an entire industry. But it's about the life of the human being, and humanity is about the life of the human being. And so here's a test. Ask your LOs on every loan in process, do they know the top 5 personal goals that every borrower has as a result of their real estate dreams and the loan that they're getting their financing, getting their financing with through you? Do they have those goals? Do they know what those are? And can I tell you something, that until we connect with people, we can't convert? And there's this enormous effort in this industry to convert without connecting. And I need you to understand that I am so digitally and technology forward thinking, but we can't miss the human piece. You can't miss that. Otherwise, the technology is not going to give you the ROI that you want. So I want to encourage you guys to have deeper conversations, wondrous conversations. As managers are recruiting, as LOs are connecting, ask deeper questions, ask more questions that are relevant, and do the things that have the borrower feel that you really care. To the point earlier, a 9-minute application on a digital device does not create human touch and connection. It's good that technology exists, but there still has to be advice. There still has to be a conversation. Second rule is tech must build value that sticks, okay? And so in all things value-oriented, in all things marketing-oriented, the value has to stick. And the most sticky value has to do with, is it simple? Is it personal? Is it compelling? Is it emotional? And is it consistent? And it doesn't matter to me if that's delivered digitally through a phone. It doesn't matter to me if it's a handwritten note. It doesn't matter to me. Talked to a real estate agent yesterday that still sends out a envelope every year with their Christmas letter in it. Slow-mo. Video, it's text. There's 221 million baby boomers, millennials, and Gen Z. Forget Gen X for just a second. But there's 221 million people that want to borrow money, that love the human touch. Millennials love the human touch, but they do research first. Boomers love the human touch, and they want it old-fashioned. The Gen Z is very digital, and they're going to want it digitally. But what are we doing to make our communication compelling and emotional? How do we bring our thank yous alive? When I get back in my car, I live 10 minutes north from here. When I get back in my car, one of the things I do is I turn my phone sideways and I record a thank you note to the key people that had me come in to speak to them, because I want them to know before I get too far away that was one of the most thankful things I have for the day. I do that all the time. When Sales Mastery is over, I sat on my couch in my house and I recorded 27 videos to say thank you to the CEOs that brought people to Sales Mastery. The handwritten note, the birthday reminders. We have a client in Australia that for 21 years, I've called him at 4 o'clock on August 16th every single year, because that's August 17th in Australia, and that's his birthday. And I get an alarm on the 16th to call him on the 17th, and I've done it for 21 years, and we do business every year together. I've got 932 people that I have to call and say happy birthday to. That's digital, right? Layer Total Expert on top of that. All of these things are super, super important. And then the final thing, which is fairly simple, is tech has to ensure emotional engagement. I mean, if we don't have tech to support emotional engagement, then it interrupts trust. And the thoughts around this are monstrous for you guys, that you're looking at P&Ls, you're looking at marketing budgets, you're looking at ROI, you're looking at those things. And two things come to mind for me, particularly around Total Expert and the solution they offer and the total marketing OS that they represent. One is this idea from Gallup. Okay, and what Gallup has said is that businesses that optimize emotional connection outperform the competition by 26% in gross margin and 85% in sales growth. Think about that for just a second. What would it be like if you just deepened connection and watched your margins grow? What would it be like if you deepened connection and watched price concessions go down? What would it be like if you could watch 85% lift in sales conversion? Just by focusing on one thing, right? Is my technology, are my tools, is my conversation leading to emotional connection? And then Tony Hsieh, who was the founder of Zappos, said this. He said, every interaction is perceived as a way to make a positive emotional connection with a customer. Today's customer must, not should, must be positively, emotionally, and memorably impacted at every level of his or her commercial experience, from start to finish. So when is start? Start is the first time they think about buying a home. When is end? The last time they finance real estate 50 years later. And that's why this whole thing is so critical. That's why this whole customer journey process is so essential. And so trust leads, technology leads, touch falls behind that. And if we focus on high trust, we support it with high tech, and we do that in a way that creates high touch, we win in the marketplace. The customer wins in the marketplace. You win as a leader. Your employees win as followers. And the world's changed because we make a difference. So hopefully that was valuable. Thanks for letting me be here, Joe and Sue. I appreciate it very much.